Welcome to Deal Dynamics. This podcast is all about selling your IT and tech business. We'll tackle topics like how to sell your business and how to manage the process. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and comment on what you'd like to see in future episodes.
In this episode, I want to talk about jargon, because it's in a financial world, and particularly corporate finance, we talk about jargon an awful lot. As we go through a transactional process, there's various different steps, and one of those steps is in due diligence. And one of the key things in due diligence is setting up a data room. Guys, what's a data room?
Yeah, well, a data room, the history behind a data room in a transaction, just to go back there, is that initially an acquirer and their advisors would turn up at a business, go in and be shown into a room that was locked at the end of the day but was open for their access to go and look at all the documents of the company. Now, that obviously doesn't happen anymore. It's gone to up in the cloud, a virtual data room as we call it, but it serves the same purpose. A place where the documents supporting the business that you're trying to sell are put or are uploaded for an acquirer and their advisors to interrogate, ask questions, and just understand that what they are buying is what they think they are buying. The process is difficult, very difficult, but it's something that we help guide you through with our own virtual data room software we have, and the folders and the structure. The whole process starts with a list of requirements from the buyer. They will give what's called IRLs, another piece of jargon, information request lists concerning tax due diligence, financial due diligence, legal due diligence, people due diligence, and there will be 150 questions in each of those due diligence IRLs, which you will have to upload into the data room. Jack, you worked closely with me on Idle data room, and you know as much as anybody about it. Perhaps you could.
Yeah, I think the process is a long one, and we want to make it as efficient as possible. Ultimately, this is going to be a lot of information gathering for the seller, and if we can kind of take the load off a little bit, that's what we're really trying to do at that stage. We're trying to build out a structure in the folder that's easy to follow and responds to all of the requests in a prompt manner. There's going to be requests on that list that aren't related to files. There's going to be questions around kind of how the business operates that can be responded with just writing, so you can just kind of put a note in there. That's going to be sufficient to get the acquirer comfortable with answering that question. When you receive the information request list, there will be all of the items will be open, and the aim is to close every single one of those items off in a shortest period of time as possible, without detrimenting the business.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So I'm the seller, and you guys have set up. I take it you set up the data room.
Yeah, we set up for our client the data room. Yeah.
Great. So I've got all these questions, 10, 20 questions.
Oh, yeah, that would be nice. No, it can be, depending on the size of the transaction, but it would be somewhere upwards of 200 or 300 questions.
Okay, so I've got the question, it's asking me for a balance sheet.
Yeah.
And I've put it into the data room, and, oh, God, it's the wrong one. I shouldn't have put that one in. But how do I get it back from the buyer?
Yeah, this is a service we offer, is that just couldn't happen with us, because I or one of my team, you would upload it, we go in, verify that the document is what it says, that we're not disclosing anything that's incorrect, or we've put the wrong file in there. Only at that point will we make it live to the acquirer. So putting the wrong thing and giving away information that you don't want to, or disclosing something you don't want to, just really couldn't happen with the way we run the process.
This, I suppose, differs quite a lot from the original data room, where you couldn't have two rooms next to each other, but we effectively have two rooms next to each other. Yeah. One where the seller can go in and put information. We then go in, take that information out, review it, and then put it into the buyer's data room.
Exactly.
And that's our process, isn't it?
And if I'm doing this process and I've got maybe my HR operations manager, brought her into the process, I don't want her seeing what my salaries are, or maybe the adjustments that we've got in there, or things. How do I make sure that she kind of has access to what she's doing and I have access, etc.?
That's another benefit of the data room software that we have developed over time, is that you can work in these silos where you can only give access to certain folders or certain bits of information to certain people. It also helps keep the acquirer on the straight and narrow as well, as the legal people can't get all over the finances. And you stick them. So it's done in silos, and access to folders is strictly limited in the software that we use. So again, that really shouldn't ever be a problem.
And how do you know that the acquirer's even looking at any of the information?
Yeah, good. Some of the software out there, you wouldn't have a clue. You're relying on them telling you are. With us, there's detailed reporting available. Who's been in? What are they looking at? How long have they been in? What have they downloaded? Who have they forwarded it on to? List of what they've printed off. The metrics around it that we can provide to you. And you might say, well, what's the interest in that? Well, it is, because you can use it as a prompt to keep the process happening at pace. I see your people haven't been in for 24 hours. Is there something wrong? Is there some further information you need? Or I see this guy's looking at this. We might just need to pay a bit of attention to that in the coming few days, because they're looking at that. You can overdo it, but we have the analysis, all the analysis you could want on who's looking at what in the data room.
Okay. And in terms of moving from the data room to the final documentation to sell the business, the share purchase agreement, is there any linking between them?
Yeah, good point. Yeah, there is, and that's why it's imperative that you run a very strict and detailed virtual data room, because you'll come to, we started with jargon, so we may as well end with it. You come to your disclosures and warranties, and you will have to reference what you've put where in the file. So it's imperative that everything is neat and where it should be, and we know how to file these things so it doesn't cause you a problem further down the line.
What happens at the end? Transaction's done. What happens at that point?
Well, yeah, you'll sail off into the sunset, or the client will, but confidentiality is sacrosanct to us, as you know. But we will close down the data room, send a copy of the files to the acquirers, as is legally mandated, but they won't have access after that. So if they haven't pulled it up in due diligence, it can't come back to bite you further down the track.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thanks for listening to the Deal Dynamics podcast with your hosts, Gary Smith, Stephen Taylor, and Jack Chiappi. Please subscribe to our channel, like the video, and comment on what topics you want us to discuss. Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter, as we provide insights, reports, deals, events, trends, and more. Just head to venturecorporatefinance.com/newsletter to sign up for free. The link is also in the description. That's all for now, folks. See you next week.